The morning arrives without a sound, carrying with it a heavy, cool moisture that seems to settle into the very grain of the stone. Here, in this small corner of the home, the world feels contained and remarkably still. There is a profound sense of belonging in the way the light touches the surfaces, not with a flash, but with a slow and steady unveiling. The colors are pulled directly from the ground beneath, a collection of deep ochres and burnt umbers that feel as though they have always been part of this domestic landscape. Nothing moves. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth and the quiet promise of a day that requires nothing from those who observe it. Time does not feel like a sequence of events here, but rather a singular, stretching moment of existence. Every shadow is soft, every edge is rounded by the gentle humidity. The masonry of the house stands as a silent guardian, enclosing this tiny sanctuary and keeping the rush of the outer world at a distance. It is a space defined by what is absent: no noise, no haste, no demand for attention. One can almost feel the weight of the stillness, a heavy and comforting blanket that smooths over the complexities of life. The light lingers on the textures of the patio, highlighting the minute variations in the stone, the way the dampness deepens the natural pigments of the earth. This is the beauty of the understated, the elegance of a space that is content to simply be. The light begins to lean, stretching across the narrow passage that runs alongside the house, turning the simple elements of the garden into a study of gold and shadow. There is a rhythmic quality to the way the tall stalks sway, a movement so slight it is almost imperceptible, like a slow breath taken in unison. The enclosure of the wooden boundary creates a private world, a corridor of peace where the textures of the landscape are the only speakers. In this light, the earth tones are amplified, turning the dry elements of the garden into a rich tapestry of bronze and copper. It is the time of day when the home feels most like a haven, a place where the boundaries between the indoors and the outdoors blur into a single, cohesive atmosphere. The stillness is not empty. It is filled with the presence of the light itself, which seems to have a physical weight as it rests upon the gravel and the wood. Every step along this path is a transition deeper into a state of quiet reflection. The world outside the gate is forgotten, replaced by the intimate scale of this residential strip. There is no need for grand gestures or vibrant colors when the subtle shift from tan to brown provides such a complex and satisfying narrative. The air is cooling now, and the warmth of the visual palette provides a necessary balance to the coming evening chill. It is a moment of perfect equilibrium, where the architecture and the living elements of the yard exist in a state of total harmony. There is a specific kind of silence that lives under the shelter of a low-hanging tree, a quiet that feels protected and ancient. In this small corner of the residential lot, the light must work to find its way through the leaves, arriving on the ground in a scattered pattern of bright coins and dark pockets. The bench sits as a permanent resident of this shadow play, its wooden frame absorbing the history of the seasons. The palette here is somber and grounding, a collection of dark chocolates and deep forest hues that pull the eye downward toward the earth. It is a space that invites a slowing of the pulse, a rhythmic cadence of thought that matches the slow drift of the light. The scale is intentionally small, a reminder that the most profound experiences of peace often happen in the most modest of settings. There is a sense of enclosure that is not restrictive, but rather cradling, like a secret kept between the house and the soil. The textures of the mulch and the wood grain are vivid in the soft illumination, revealing the intricate details of a space that is often overlooked. Here, the passage of time is measured not by clocks, but by the movement of the sun's patterns across the seat of the bench. It is a sanctuary of the mundane, a place where the simple presence of light and shadow is enough to fill the senses. The stillness is absolute, broken only by the internal realization of the beauty found in these quiet, earth-toned depths. The movement of water in this quiet courtyard is a lesson in patience, a single drop forming and falling with a regularity that anchors the atmosphere. Each ripple is a fleeting event, a brief disturbance on the surface of a dark, still pool that quickly returns to its glassy state. The stone basin, carved and weathered, sits as a heavy center of gravity amidst the slate and the shadows. The light here is indirect, bouncing softly off the walls of the home to illuminate the scene with a cool, even clarity. There is a tactile quality to the image, a sense that one could reach out and feel the coldness of the water and the roughness of the stone. The earth tones are shifted toward the cooler end of the spectrum, with grays and charcoals providing a foundation for the deep blacks of the water. It is a scene of profound restraint, where nothing is added that does not serve the overall sense of calm. The domestic setting is evident in the precision of the tiles and the proximity of the dwelling, creating a feeling of a managed, intentional peace. There is a meditative quality to the repetition of the drip, a soundless pulse that defines the passage of time in this hidden nook. The world is reduced to these few elements: stone, water, light, and the immense stillness that surrounds them. It is a space for the mind to rest, a visual palate cleanser that strips away the unnecessary until only the essential remains. The threshold of the home is a place of transition, where the interior life meets the garden in a soft collision of light and texture. On the porch, the wood has been darkened by time and the elements, its grain standing out in the low, raking light of the morning. A few leaves, brittle and pale, have found their way onto the landing, their presence a gentle reminder of the cycles of growth and decay that occur just inches away. The light is warm, carrying the amber glow of a sun that is still low on the horizon, casting long, soft-edged shadows across the floorboards. There is an intimacy here that is unmistakable, a sense that this is a private world where the smallest details are cherished. The color palette is cohesive and comforting, a range of browns that feel solid and dependable. The stillness of the house behind the door adds a layer of depth to the silence of the porch, creating a dual sense of peace. It is a moment of stillness before the day begins, or perhaps a moment of lingering after the world has gone quiet. The textures are the primary focus: smoothness of the wood, the papery thinness of the leaves, the invisible warmth of the light. Everything in the frame suggests a life lived with intention and an appreciation for the subtle shifts in the domestic landscape. It is a quiet celebration of the home as a place of rest, where even a handful of dried leaves can become a focal point of beauty. Against the solid foundation of the house, a thin strip of life thrives in the shadows, a miniature ecosystem of ferns and rich, dark soil. The light is selective here, choosing only a small portion of the bed to illuminate, leaving the rest in a deep, velvet darkness. This contrast creates a sense of drama that is quiet rather than loud, a visual whisper that draws the eye toward the textures of the earth. The ferns, with their intricate fronds, appear almost architectural in the sharp light, their muted greens providing the only deviation from the brown and gray of the stone. The scale is small, focused on a few square feet of residential ground, yet it feels expansive in its complexity. There is a sense of subterranean peace, a feeling that the roots and the stones are in a constant, silent dialogue. The earth tones are at their most visceral here, the color of damp loam and weathered granite forming a palette that is both humble and majestic. The stillness is heavy, anchored by the weight of the house and the density of the soil. It is a perspective that requires a lowering of the gaze, an invitation to find beauty in the ground beneath our feet. The air in this narrow space feels cooler, protected from the wind and the direct heat of the sun. It is a hidden world, a quiet corner where the domestic and the wild exist in a state of perfectly balanced tension, overseen by the watchful presence of the home. As the day begins to fade, the light takes on a cool, ethereal quality, casting a soft blue veil over the garden. Against this cooling atmosphere, the warm tones of the terracotta tiles remain as a lingering memory of the sun's heat. They lean against the wooden wall of the shed, their edges softened by wear and their surfaces carrying the dust of the garden. This is a moment of profound inactivity, a scene of objects at rest in the domestic landscape. The stillness of the twilight is different from the stillness of the morning. It is a concluding peace, a sense that the work of the day is finished. The earth tones are muted now, the oranges and reds of the clay shifting toward deep russet and brown. The shed wall, with its silvered wood grain, provides a neutral backdrop that allows the tiles to stand out as a quiet focal point. There is an honesty in these materials, a sense of utility that has been transformed into beauty by the quality of the light. The scale remains intimate, centered on a small, functional corner of the backyard. The air is still, and the sounds of the neighborhood have fallen away, leaving only the visual rhythm of the stacked shapes. It is a study in geometry and texture, a reminder that even the most mundane objects can hold a sense of wonder when observed in the right spirit. The coming night promises a deeper silence, but for now, this soft twilight provides a perfect bridge between the active and the dormant. The path leads the eye through a gentle curve, its gravel surface crunching silently in the imagination. Every stone is a different shade of taupe or sand, creating a textured carpet that defines the movement through this small residential space. The shrubs that line the way are dormant, their branches a complex web of brown and gray that filters the hazy afternoon light. This is a landscape of subtlety, where the variations in color are so slight they require a lingering gaze to truly appreciate. The dark wooden gate at the end of the path acts as a visual punctuation mark, a boundary that marks the end of the private garden and the beginning of the world beyond. The light is soft and diffused, smoothing over the edges of the world and creating a sense of timelessness. There is no urgency here, no destination that requires haste. The path itself is the experience, a slow journey through a collection of earth-tone textures. The domesticity of the scene is felt in the neatness of the borders and the deliberate placement of the plants, a small-scale garden that has been carefully tended and then left to rest. The stillness is all-encompassing, a quiet that feels as though it has been built up over years of peaceful afternoons. It is a place where the air feels still and the world feels small, a sanctuary of neutral tones and soft light that offers a respite from the complexity of modern life. The textures of the garden are a history of the home, written in the wood and the brick and the dried remnants of the seasons. A single fence post, silvered by the sun and rain, stands as a testament to the enduring nature of the domestic landscape. A dried vine, its life moved into a dormant state, clings to the rough surface, its delicate tendrils creating a fine-lined map of its previous growth. The light is warm and comes from the side, throwing every crack and grain of the wood into sharp relief. In the background, the soft-focused bricks of the house provide a rhythmic pattern of earth reds and oranges, a warm wall that feels protective and solid. The color palette is a masterclass in browns, from the pale gray-brown of the fence to the deep burnt sienna of the masonry. It is a scene of immense stillness, focused on the micro-details that often go unnoticed in the rush of daily life. The scale is incredibly tight, turning a simple boundary into a landscape of its own. There is a sense of peace that comes from this focus, a realization that beauty does not require a grand stage. It can be found in the intersection of two materials, in the way the light catches a single strand of vine, or in the solid presence of a well-loved home. The air is quiet, and the light is steady, creating a moment of visual contemplation that feels both personal and universal. As the light of the sky finally retreats, the garden settles into its final state of the day. The patio, a collection of flat stones and dark joints, becomes a stage for the subtle play of artificial light. A single, low-positioned lamp casts a warm, circular glow, illuminating the immediate surroundings and letting the rest of the yard fall into a soft, velvety blackness. The earth tones are transformed by this light. The grays of the stone become warm ochres, and the surrounding foliage turns into deep, indiscernible shadows. This is the ultimate expression of the home as a sanctuary, a private, enclosed space where the darkness is not cold but comforting. The stillness is profound, a deep silence that seems to emanate from the house itself. The high angle of the view provides a sense of the layout, a small and perfectly contained world that belongs to this specific residence. There is a feeling of completion, as if the garden has finished its performance and is now resting. The light does not try to fight the darkness, it exists within it, a small beacon of warmth in the cool evening air. The textures of the stone are highlighted one last time before being swallowed by the night. It is a scene of absolute calm, a final breath of peace before the world fully closes its eyes. The quiet earth tones have done their work, grounding the space and the observer in a sense of enduring, domestic tranquility.